The most famous archaeological site in the world is undoubtedly the pyramids of Egypt. However, there are other sites which have almost the same level of popularity as the Egyptian pyramids. One of these places is the island of Pascua, or Easter Island. We don't know why they were built in that shape, and why they were built at all. In today's video, we will try to answer some of these questions. The main reason why this island is so popular is because of the huge stone statues called Moai. These statues are everywhere on the island. There are around 900 of them spread all over the island. It's believed that they might have used a rope made out of human hair to drag the statues. And apparently they also used a special technique called pawa, which might have involved the use of a lever or a ramp. Either way, we don't really know how they managed to move these heavy statues. And to make things more confusing, the islanders themselves don't know either. All they know is that their ancestors knew a technique to move these statues, but nobody knows what that technique was. So if you want to see one, you don't really have to go looking for it. You can just bump into one by accident. Upon arrival, they saw the statues and thought that they were idols, meaning that they actually named the island after the god of Christianity, hence the name Easter Island. From that point on, the Europeans tried to convert the locals to Christianity, and they succeeded. The people abandoned their old beliefs and ways of life and started following the Europeans. The Europeans also discouraged them from building more statues, and so that marked the end of the Moai building era. But despite us knowing where they are, we still don't know much about them. Until the Europeans arrived on the island, the natives had no word for Easter Island, just like they had no word for money, government, or slavery. After all, they look like huge green army men. Is this mere coincidence, or is there something more to it? Also, if each statue represented an ancestor, why do they all look alike? Wouldn't each statue be unique? And lastly, why did the civilization die out so quickly? Was it because they spent too much time making those statues and not enough time on other useful things? Or was it because of European diseases? We don't know the answers to any of these questions. But what we do know is that these statues are some of the most mysterious man-made structures in the world. In fact, they didn't even have a word for war. For them, the closest word to war would be a type of dance battle. They also had no concept of private ownership, meaning that nobody could own something exclusively. If you owned a chicken, your neighbor could also use that chicken to produce more chickens. Well, according to the only written account of how the Moai were made, they were created by a mythical man named Hatu Matua. According to legend, he came to the island with his father and taught the locals how to build these statues in exchange for food. But that's just a legend. First things first, where did these statues come from?
How?
The answer to that question is pretty simple. They were all carved out of the slopes of Rano Raraku, a volcano on the island. And we also believe that they were built by the same people who inhabited the island, the ancestors of the current population. It's believed that these statues represented the islanders' ancestors, meaning that the island was full of their ancestors. The heads of the statues were deliberately made to resemble the head of a bird called Malumala. Why this particular bird? Well, scientists believe that this bird was chosen because it was an excellent navigator, hence its inclusion on the statues. This is evident by the presence of tools used for carving, and even red markings used to identify which statue was finished and which one was on Eid. These statues weren't made in a day, so the workers would mark the ones that were finished so that nobody would try to carve them again. But who built these statues and why? The truth is that we don't know who built them. It's believed that these statues were built between the years 1400 and 1680. Okay, but how did they move these giant statues all over the island? It's believed that the islanders somehow dragged the statues across the island. It's believed that the making of the Moai lasted until 1680, when European ships arrived on the island. After that, the population declined rapidly. And today, there are only around 700 people living there. Here's another interesting fact. There are many unanswered questions regarding these statues. For example, we don't know why they were built in that exact shape. Thank you for watching.